All right, everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're joined by Eric from Testament. They're going to be leaving very, very soon. They've got dates starting the 18th in Brisbane through the 24th in Perth. How you doing, Eric?
I'm doing good. One
Like,
week away.
yeah, like I said, it's getting close. What are the vibes like in the Testament camp at the moment?
The vibes like busy.
Yep.
We're finishing up. We just finished mixing our record. Now we're putting the booklet together and then getting ready, of course, to come to Australia in a week.
And you've literally just come off some dates, celebrating Practice What You Preach, and doing a bit of reimagining with some acoustic stuff. How did that go?
Went a lot better than expected. We packed up the bus and a trailer, and we did like some secondary markets, and we've never done anything like this before. So um, it went really good. Surprisingly, it was really fun. It's
Okay,
really
and
weird to, have people moshing and then all of a sudden switch to acoustics and then, be sitting there like like a lounge band, and then go back to heavy and then play ballads, and it was a lot of fun.
do you think that it's a as it's a different dynamic that it's something that you might do more of in the future?
Yeah, we're definitely planning on doing this again maybe in a year or after we re-release Souls of Black. We're actually remixing that record, so that's going to be something to do for sure.
Okay. And a lot of
Yeah.
bands at the moment are going back and actually fully re-recording their catalog for things like publishing and syncing and stuff. Is that anything that Testament are looking to do?
No, I don't think re-recording. I mean, those captured the time and it's got the vibe. I think remastering stuff is cool, and for us at least, and then like remixing the original tracks with
Yep.
somebody today is that's a good start for us, I think.
Do you think that the production techniques that we have now, like, of course, they're going to be more advanced, but do you think there's a fine line between where they can take over and just ruin something that's classic?
It could happen, yeah, but we're not going to let that happen. We're going to stick to our guns on what it sounds like, and we're not adding any new recordings. We're just going to have somebody. I think we have a pretty good ear now. I think back then we kind of just were young and we're like, yeah, killer.
Yep.
So now, now that we've done newer records and done a lot of new records, we've paid more attention to stuff like that. And that record was kind of rushed too.
Yep.
So
So, in saying that, like a lot of bands today, say, oh, there's no use recording an album, no one will buy it. So clearly, Testament don't care. They want to record it probably more for themselves. When you guys go to record an album, you're just one of those bands that clearly just wants to put the best version of the band at that time out on vinyl, CD. Is that true?
yeah, I mean, I think we're still viable and we still have ideas. We've been doing this for a while, so um, we tour a lot more. So we're on tour for a good 2 years, and then to write takes a little bit longer. Rightfully so. We're on our 13th record. The same band, same formula. But I think, just listening to our last three records, they're definitely up to par, and I think we're getting better as musicians. So, especially this new one that's coming out, I'm really, really proud of it. There's no fillers. I think all the songs are meant to be for sure.
Do you have a ballpark of sort of when you want it out?
Yeah, we'll announce it soon. I know I could tell you we're turning it in like a week. So the
Right.
process, happens when it happens. But yeah, we need to do an official when we're doing
Yep.
putting it out.
And who was producing this album?
Jens Bogren from Sweden.
Okay.
So
And
he's really good. I really like what he's done.
now take me as I know Testament's music, um, but I'm not an Uber Testament fan. I've been lucky to see you guys when you've toured here before, and you're really exciting live. But take me into a rehearsal situation or a writing situation. Is it all of you in one room, or is it literally just sending files back and forth?
A little bit of both.
Yep.
Yeah. We definitely rehearse, maybe not all at the same time. Alex is in New York, so he kind of comes out towards the end. Um, and then we'll record, of course, we do it separately, kind of layer everything.
Yep. Now, I read an
Yeah.
interview with you recently where you're talking about your guitar playing, and you've said, like, you've started to take more leads. Was that
Mhm.
just based out of a comfort thing, or you just were like, oh, Alex is here?
I think when Alex first left is when I started doing stuff with like James Murphy, kind of adding stuff in, and it just, I felt comfortable playing solos at that time. And then when Alex came back, he was like, yeah, cool. So, it's kind of just a normal evolution as a
Yep.
guitar player for me, at least. But,
Is
adds a
that
little bit more character to the band too, I think.
so? It's kind of a loaded question, but as a guitar player, what makes the perfect riff?
Um, hmm. I think just the way it sounds or the way it makes you feel. Depends on, the technicality of what you got, but riff wise with, bar chords and riffing out, I think it's just a feeling.
Yep.
Yeah. Because when I come up with my best riffs, they're usually from me jamming, recording myself, and I get lost and I don't even know I'm recording anymore. And then there's always that, 20 minutes later, like 5 seconds of one, it's all
Yeah.
gibberish. Just and then there's that, 5, 6 seconds, and you're like, oh, what's that?
Yeah, sure.
And then you kind of build off it.
And in saying that, you are endorsed by Dean. So, what is it about Dean guitars that work for you?
I've been with them a really long time. They're just really good. The guitars that they gave me, they're handmade in the States and um, built to my specs, and they're just really good quality. Really awesome guitars.
And I noticed that you got, like, for that acoustic run, you got a really nice Gibson acoustic. So, how did that feel taking something like that out in the road?
It is awesome. Just really good sounding guitar. Um, the one that I had live, I didn't record with, but I have another one. That one was a cutaway. I needed a cutaway for the live stuff
Yep.
to do some stuff. I have a little solo on a dirge. But yeah, I also play Gibson. I've been playing Les Pauls lately, and it's a lot of fun. I like to play kind of everything.
Yep.
Even though Dean is my main guitar, but I like to bust out a Strat or a Les Paul or something. Been doing it for so long, why not?
Absolutely. And each one has
And
its
they're
own
all
sort
and
of,
they're all and they're all cool with it too. So
yeah. Now,
yeah.
I want you to take me back. I want to go back to that Bay Area scene when you guys first came up. There was a lot of comparisons between the Bay Area and LA at the time, which is weird when you look at documentaries now. They're pretty much polar opposite. But for you, starting the band, was it like a very competitive scene, or was it more like the camaraderie between all the bands?
Probably a little bit of both. We're all kind of doing the same. I think back then we weren't thinking so much that we were doing the same thing. It just we were all into it. It's called a scene.
Yep.
Like everybody goes, they want to hear that sound. I think, once you start putting records out and you start touring, then you get a little competitive. But I
Yeah.
think when we first started out, before any of the bands got signed, we just were all supporting each other, and and probably getting influenced by each other too. Definitely.
Was there a Bay Area band that didn't break out that you were surprised not to get a deal?
Um, I think everybody kind of got a deal, whether they continued or not. But there was. Um, I remember, I think a year, after a year of playing the small circuits that we were playing, like Ruthie's Inn, the Stone. Um, we Exodus was just on fire there, and you could tell they're. I guess what we would say back then is they're gonna make it.
Yep.
um, and then I remember maybe 6 months later, after they came on off tour, they came to our show, and they were on the stage and watching us, and because we'd all just be on the stage drinking and tripping on the crowd, even jumping into the crowd. And I remember Gary. was it Gary Holt? Maybe it was Rick Hinault. He was looking at me with his crazy eyes, and he's like, "You guys are next."
Well, and you were.
It was a great show. So,
Yeah. Now, speaking of that, if you had a unlimited budget, what would your dream tour lineup be? And wherever you want to play, you play. But what would your dream lineup be?
It'd probably differ if I sat and thought it for a while. But just if you want me to throw something out,
Yeah.
Neil Peart on drums, Dio on vocals, Geezer on bass, me on guitar, and John Lord on keyboards.
Perfect. Now, what about a touring lineup? Like amass a couple of bands that you want to go on tour with without a budget.
Like any band?
Yeah, any band. Any band. Budget isn't an issue.
What, to like share a tour with, you're talking
Yeah,
about?
absolutely. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, that's a hard one. I mean, my favorite, I mean, I could think more business and like pick the biggest bands, but
Yep.
bands that I would like to tour with would be like Merciful Fate, Arch Enemy, I mean, AC/DC, Metallica.
Yep.
I don't know.
So that'd be a pretty good,
lot of good.
Put Testament in. That's a pretty good, 6 bill lineup. Get in front of a few people.
Yeah, that'd be a cool little festival, right? Scorpions, Metallica, Black Sabbath, Testament, Arch Enemy, Merciful Fate.
See, that's just the way to do it. Behemoth are fantastic.
I mean, there's so many great bands. Creator. I mean, come on.
Now you said that
now I'm starting to name bands that we just toured with. So,
but that's okay. That means you had a great tour.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now you said you're about to turn the album in. Can you divulge how many tracks are going to be on it?
No.
No. Okay, so we have
around 10.
Around 10.
Yeah.
And have you got your 2026, 2027 sort of roughly mapped out to tour the album?
Yeah, 26 we're looking at right now, and probably in July and maybe in the winter we're going to be working on new material already. So since we're going to have some time down, me and Chris were coming up with a lot of ideas on the last one, and we kind of just stopped.
Okay.
So we got ahead of everybody, and we're just like, okay, let's focus on what we need to record now. But yeah, I mean, I figure since we tour so much, you might as well get a scratch board of riffs going.
Do you guys have like a little portable rig on the bus for when you're traveling?
No, I don't like riding on the road.
Right.
It's too much going on.
Okay.
Need to sleep, need to do our VIPs, need to do sound check, need to try to fit in dinner somewhere in between there, and then it's show time, and then meet and greets, and yeah, it's really no time.
Yeah. No, I was actually going to mention things like the VIP. So this has become a massive part of touring for bands. So meet and greets, VIPs. People don't understand how tight touring can be for some bands these days. Like, you've really got to work it out well. So while it also brings a great connection between you and the fans, that's got to add or take off some financial pressure for bands touring these days. Is that part of the reason that a lot of bands are doing it, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's everything, that's, we're getting money for it, but we're also taking up our time and giving them the opportunity to maybe ask some questions and meet and take pictures. And it's just more organized rather than, hoping to meet the band while they're walking off the bus.
Yeah.
And they have to use the bathroom real bad, and they're like, okay,
Yeah.
I haven't showered yet, but okay, I'll take a picture.
Yep.
So it's more, it's all organized, I think.
What's the weirdest thing that's happened at a Testament meet and greet?
The weirdest thing at a Testament meet and greet? Nothing really. It's pretty smooth. Sorry.
Well, that's good. No wedding proposals, no, prosthetic limbs getting autographed?
Oh man, wedding proposals. I think maybe if someone has came and said they just got proposed, but
Okay, yep.
you know, yeah, I've seen that on some things. Like I remember seeing a Taylor Swift, watching one of her concerts, and she was in Japan, and she came out. The next people came in and they proposed right in front of her.
Yep.
So I mean, that's cool.
Look, anything can happen at a gig. I've seen, wheelchair crowd surfers. So,
Yeah, I mean, during our show, there's been weird stuff.
yep.
Guys dressed in a banana, and everybody's pouncing on them, and wheelchairs with people on them coming through the pit.
Well, I'm gonna hope they come to your show because they're normally at all the Brisbane metal shows. You should hopefully get a couple of guys dressed as the Power Rangers at the Testament show.
That would be nice.
Yeah,
Chuck loves that stuff. He calls them out, and it's pretty fun.
I will just give a shout out to the Pink Power Ranger and tell him he needs to update his suit. It's looking a bit stained. Okay, mate. So before I let you go, I'm going to run these dates again. So it is Brisbane on the 18th, Sydney on the 20th, Melbourne on the 21st, 22nd in Adelaide, and the 24th in Perth. Is there anything that you want to let the Aussie fans know as you're packing to come to us?
Here we come. It's been 12 plus years, and it's been too long, And thank you for everybody for making some of those shows sold out, and I think they're all going to do that. So that feels good for us, and it just makes us more excited to come there and kick some butt. We also have had 3 records since then, and we haven't toured Australia, so it's a little challenging what we want to play, but we're going to have a really good set for Australia, I think.
Awesome. You've heard it from Eric. There's an unnamed Testament album about to be handed in. We don't know how many songs, but they're coming here. And Eric, we'll see you in Brisbane.
All right. We'll see you. Thank you.
Thanks for your time, man. Bye-bye.
Later.